Hi to my classes, both section 1 and 2. This is our week 2 lecture video. And happy Labor Day, as I'm recording this on Labor Day. We don't have a formal chapter in our Tech in Action text for this week. So we'll go over a little bit about Windows 11 that you all worked on already. And we'll look at Windows 11's embedded web browser called Microsoft Edge, and I'll briefly introduce you to some things you're going to look at in Excel with a file I maintain for one of my day jobs. So with that, I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so I'm going to actually go to Chrome, which I use pretty much for everything. I do use Edge for some things, but I wanted to bring us to our week 2 offer. I'm looking at the O2 class, but it's exactly the same for you O1ers. I have our slides up for Excel module 2. You go through those, use your text to work through the assignment. I did extend week 1 work to be due at midnight tonight. We had both classes, some people add, a few dropped, so I thought it'd be good to give an extra day to do so. So you have that in place. And our week 2 work that's due is Excel creating a worksheet and a chart. So it's building on what we looked at in week 1. So we have a couple exercises doing that. And we introduce formulas and functions and some formatting. And like I said, Edge. So I want to start with we can do both. Down in the area where we see my cursor running, that's called the Windows taskbar. This taskbar came into effect for Microsoft back with its release of Windows 95, which was in 1995, way before all of you were around, but I was really just starting out in my career. Pretty big change from our previous version. You see it kind of emulates our Mac screen, but our tasks are at the top of our screen in Mac, where we're at the bottom here. The 4 box icon is our start button. Over here where I have the date, not the date, the weather, it's a widget, and I get some information from Microsoft sources and whatnot. These icons here are things that I tend to start up quickly. Well, I can create a second desktop. I have a separate chat feature. We know this File Explorer from our assignments last week. We started using File Explorer. This is Edge, which I'll show you. I actually am running Edge twice. First one, I'm reading the 7 deadliest communication sins from my job at Greystone. I'm not reading it, I'm listening to it. And I have my Greystone email up using Edge, but we'll look more at that shortly. I have a Microsoft Store here. Lenovo is a tool I use to maintain the components of my computer. I don't update Windows here. I do so in our control panel, but this Lenovo app and most hardware providers in the Windows world will do something similar. I at times will check for updates for the hardware that's in my computer here. I have a chess game that keeps my brain up and running. I have 2 instances of Chrome running. One has our Cengage work, one has our E-classes up. I have a task manager, which shows me all the tasks that are running on my computer. So I'm using 34% of my CPU. CPU stands for Central Processing Unit. And we'll learn, I think, next week that the CPU is the brains of the computer. My memory we'll learn is short-term storage that lets us open and close programs. I currently have this phone link program using a lot of memory, and this just enables me to connect my iPhone with the Windows and Edge, whereas it's much simpler to do in a Mac world. And I have it connected to the MacBook that sits right next to me. But what I'm going to do is when we have a resource like this bogging down things, I can right click on it and I'll go to End Task. And my memory will slowly start to come back to me. I have this Ring Central thing that's taking up a lot of space. Actually have a lot of it. I want to end that task. And these are things we typically do in the Windows world to try and alleviate some things on how our computer is actually running. And this will slowly come down. If you haven't noticed from our simulations, Microsoft is a little different than Windows in its mouse use. I think Windows is a little more intuitive than the Macs are. Right click is to bring up menus, left click is to select, and we can scroll as a natural hand. We don't have to worry about two fingers and whatnot. But that's just what I'm doing in Chrome. I will point out that when we don't have a chapter in the tech book, our lectures will be much shorter. I'm going to keep it to about 10 to 15 minutes just to make sure we're all right, get a feel for everybody, and show you what's going on in the given week. I am happy with the amount of work we've done. You've all done a great job thus far, and I'm sure once everyone catches up, everyone will be keeping up and moving along. I'm going to try not to extend deadlines this semester. I found last semester that it kind of gave a little safety net, a little safety blanket to my students, so I'm going to try to stick to those. Okay. But more things look like this is my Windows desktop. These are called shortcuts. They're nothing but a little quick way for me to get somewhere. And I have some duplicates here. I have some things that probably shouldn't be here. And we have a recycle bin. So I could take things like these two things that I don't use and I can click and drag. Windows is big in click and drag. And this is all stuff I no longer need. I'm just going to do a little cleanup. And I do my recycle by right clicking and saying, got it to this. Right click and empty recycle bin. Yes. I'm going to arrange these a little better since I have a lot of spaces now. So I'm going to view by, I like my medium icons. I'm going to auto arrange and I have a little better view. This is the Bellagio Fountains in Las Vegas. I went there with my son and wife this winter for a soccer tournament. Pretty good time. I said the start button is where we really launch our applications. It gives us some things that are pinned here. And I can go into all apps and I can launch something by just clicking on it. And I can right click to pin it to my start bar or down to our taskbar. I use Acrobat a lot, so I will pin to start. And you can see my recent things I've done here. This search box is powered by something called Bing AI, running through something called Cortana. You can think of Cortana as a sister to Siri. Okay. These are some other widget type things that give me access to things I need. When I click on my little snoozy thing, we can see I'm set at Do Not Disturb, so I won't get notifications to my Windows desktop when this is on. There's my time and date. This shows my battery power. And I also have some quick menus for my Wi-Fi. I currently have Bluetooth off. I can set this to airplane mode. And this is OneDrive. This is a virtual storage area in Microsoft's cloud. If you have a Microsoft 365 account, you'll use this to store your documents. It's similar to things like Google Drive or Dropbox. So right now we're looking at Microsoft Edge, which I'm going to restart. Like any browser, Edge will get us to the internet. So we've started to learn that an information system is something that takes inputs, processes it, and give us an output. And that's all a browser does, whether it's Edge, Chrome, Safari, Firefox, whatever. Windows is big with menu items, and where you see my mouse moving now, this is a bookmark bar, but in general, we call this whole area the banner, similar to what we see in Excel. I can have multiple tabs open just like any browser by clicking here. I can see information about the account I'm logged into for Edge. It's similar with Safari. You have your Apple ID logged in, and Safari will be the same if on your phone and your laptop or whatever. It's the same here with Edge. All my settings get bookmarked and saved not only to this computer, but for Edge on my cell phone. This is the back button. This is a refresh, and this is my home. What we're seeing now is my home screen. It's powered by my work environment, where I have shortcuts to my Greystone programs, Microsoft 365, a shortcut to my personal email. I have a weather app. I have Microsoft Teams, and I have some security functions for Greystone that I go to quite often. I have some Microsoft rewards that ties into this Microsoft store. I have 3 notifications I'm currently ignoring. And the gear button will customize how this page looks for me. And I'll click it. The gear button in Windows is one of the essential tools in the operating system in that it lets us set other settings. So here I have an inspirational layout, and I could do more. We see I'm in the US. I have 1 row of click links. I could expand that. I show sponsored links. I don't know why I do that, but we'll turn it off. I can change the background, and it's set to change automatically. Right now I have Colorado River. I can also personalize my news feed. And Microsoft puts a whole bunch of garbage up here. I actually never have clicked on any of these stories, but I just leave it here just for kicks. We notice the 3 button icon here. It's kind of similar to the gear. If I were to click it, I have a lot of settings I can do. In particular, our settings button, where I can manage my account. I can sync my account with other devices, my rewards. Just like Safari and Chrome, Edge has a password vault. I store passwords here. I don't have payment information. I can import browser settings from one browser to another. I can see how I can let cookies in. Cookies, just a small bit of data that we send to the internet to show us who we are and where we've been. I can change my appearance. I use this bubblegum one for whatever reason. I customize my sidebar, which is where this B is, all the way down to my settings. And we have Bing AI. I'm going to post a discussion today that I'd like you all to work on, and you can share each other's thoughts. I'm just wondering what your use has been with chatbots like ChatGPT or Bing AI or Bard from Google, and how you think it could help or hurt education. We have some other settings we can configure Edge with. What we see here is our navigation bar, and we can see some things I've been to. But if I typed MSMC in Mount St. Mary's website comes up. This is called the URL, and we'll learn more about this as the weeks go ahead. This is a domain, and we have a top level and second level domains. We're calling something DNS. HTTPS means we have a secured website, as does this lock. The HTTP stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol. Way back when I started using browsers, when they first came out, it was essential to put both this HTTP or HTTPS : and the 2 backslashes in www. www stands for World Wide Web, and it's what we call a protocol. Now, today's browsers you've seen, we just have to type MSMC.edu and we get where we want to go. I can go back to where I was, or refresh this, or go home. We can share this page with someone. We can create a QR code to quickly get back to this page or share it again. We can have this page read to us, so it's great for accessibility. We can bookmark it. We can see what extensions and language it's written in. We can split the screen so we can show 2 windows at a time. We launch our favorites. We see our browser essentials. And we can set what we run while we're sleeping, what we've seen Edge does worldwide for blocking bad people. We have a search button in our sidebar. We can shop. We have other tools. We have games. We have Microsoft 365 embedded here as well. Outlook comes for us, and we could drop our location should we want to. Okay, so that's a good rundown of Edge. Again, it's similar to what you've used in Chrome and Safari already, so it shouldn't really be anything too stressful, I wouldn't think. All of our work we can see is due September 10th at 11:59. I do apologize for having some of the assignments set to AM, and I thank you all for letting me know that. I want to also let you know I tried to take weekends off, but I realize I have due dates on Sunday. So if you have trouble, by all means, get in touch with me. I may not respond right away or be able to fix something right away, but I will get to you. And that's a promise I will keep. And with that, I'm going to stop my share. I want to thank you all for a great first week, and I hope our second one will be just as good. Everyone have a great Labor Day, and we'll talk to you next week. Remember, I'm going to put up that discussion on chatbots. Let's try to respond to it. It's not graded, but I want some interaction with the class so you can start to know each other. Bye now.